Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you for joining me. My name is Ansila and I am a PhD student in the Department of Economics. So, as for my presentation, the title of my research proposal is Digital Trust and Adoption of Islamic FinTech among Malaysian Gen Z and Economic Behavior Study of Islamic University Students. This study explores how trust factors influence the adoption of Sharia-compliant financial technologies among young Malaysians. So let's dive into the background. To set the stage, Islamic fintech includes Sharia-compliant tools like e-wallets, microfinancing, and zakat apps that align with Islamic principles. Generation Z, born as digital natives, are tech savvy and ethically conscious consumers. Their adoption of these technologies is influenced by factors such as perceived ease of usefulness, privacy, security, trust, and most importantly, Sharia compliance. From an economic behavior perspective, this study examines how Gen Z weighs functional benefits, ethical considerations, and trust when making financial decisions in the digital space. However, there is a research gap, meaning only a few studies integrate digital trust, Sharia compliance, and the technology acceptance model, especially for Malaysian Gen Z. This proposal aims to fill that gap. Now, let's address the core research problem. Despite being digital natives, the adoption of Islamic fintech among Malaysian Gen Z remains inconsistent. Trust in Sharia compliance has not been deeply explored as a key driver of economic decision making. Technological, ethical, and trust factors are often studied in isolation, not as interconnected influences on behavior. Existing models fall short in explaining how Gen Z balances functionality, ethical alignment, and trust in their financial choices. Moreover, there is limited research focusing on Islamic university students, which are a demographic that is pivotal in shaping the future of fintech adoption in Malaysia. Moving on to the objectives and questions guiding this study, my first research objective RO1 is to examine the level of digital trust among Malaysian Gen Z. Answering my research question 1, what is the level of digital trust among Malaysian Gen Z students? This will be addressed quantitatively. Research objective 2 aims to analyze the impact of digital trust on adoption intention. Tackling my research question 2, does trust in Sharia, technology, and institutions influence adoption intention? Again, a quantitative study. Finally, research objective 3 is to identify key trust dimensions shaping adoption. Responding to research question 3, which trust factors most affect Islamic fintech adoption among students? This is to also quantitative, ensuring a data-driven approach. So, why does this study matter? Theoretically, the study extends the TAM by incorporating multidimensional trust factors like Sharia, technology, and institutions. Methodologically, it uses quantitative analysis on a targeted population of Islamic university students, adding depth to the existing literature. Practically, it guides fintech providers in designing trustworthy, Sharia-compliant platforms that appeal to Gen Z. And from a policy standpoint, it helps regulators refine frameworks to boost trust and adoption. And for the future research, it lays a strong foundation for exploring youth fintech behavior in broader contexts. In reviewing the literature, I have drawn from key studies. For example, Hussein and others in 2023 focused on TAM plus trust and found that trust impacts adoption. But it was on general fintech, not specifically Gen Z Islamic users. Juan Rashida and others in 2025 looked at Gen Z adoption and noted trust mediates perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use. Yet it was limited to e-wallets. Nick Azman and MD Zabri in 2022 emphasized Sharia compliance in Islamic fintech as critical, but only for micro entrepreneurs. Rahmawati and others in 2025 explored ethical and spiritual alignment in Gen Z Muslims adoption, finding that it affects attitudes. But this was outside Malaysia, and digital trust was notably missing. These gaps highlight the need for my integrated approach. Building on that, here is the conceptual framework. It is grounded in three theoretical bases. First, the technology acceptance model (TAM), which explains adoption through perceived usefulness, how the tech improves efficiency, and perceived ease of use, meaning how simple it is to interact with. Second, trust theory, which posits that trust in Sharia, technology, and institutions directly influences adoption behavior. Third, the economic behavior perspective, which shows how Gen Z considers ethical, functional, and trust factors in their adoption decisions, treating fintech choices as rational economic behaviors. Continuing with the conceptual framework, this diagram illustrates the relationships of variables. On the left, we have independent variable, including trust in Sharia, trust in technology and institutions, perceived usefulness or PU, and perceived ease of use or PEOU. These feed into digital trust or attitude as a mediating variable, which in turn influences the dependent variable, which is adoption intention. This model proposes that trust dimensions not only directly affect intention but also mediate through altitudes shaped by PU and PEOU, providing a holistic view of Gen Z's decision making progress. As for the methodology, this is a quantitative cross sectional study. The population is Malaysian Gen Z from Islamic universities. I will aim for a sample size of around 200 to 300 based on feasibility and representativeness. Sampling will use convenience or purposive methods targeting students familiar with fintech. And data collection will be through surveys using a structured questionnaire to measure PU, PEOU, trust in Sharia, technology, and institutions, plus adoption intention. Analysis will include descriptive statistics, reliability and validity tests, regression or structural equation modeling, and mediation analysis to explore the role of trust. So, here are the key variables and how they will be measured. Trust in Sharia is an independent variable assessed through perceived compliance with Sharia principles on a 5-point Likert scale sourced from Nick Asman and MD Zobri study. Trust in technology and institutions, also an independent variable, covers platform reliability, security, and credibility from Hussein and others. Perceived usefulness measures the belief that fintech boosts financial efficiency from Azhar and others. Perceived ease of use evaluates interaction ease from one Rashida and others. Finally, adoption intention to the dependent variable gauges willingness to use Islamic fintech services from Hussein and others. To analyze the data, I will start with reliability and validity tests to ensure the instruments are sound. Descriptive statistics like means, standard deviations, and frequencies will use to summarize the findings. Regression or SAM will test the relationship between trust factors and TAM elements, and mediation analysis will examine how digital trust dimensions influence adoption through PU and PEOU. These techniques will provide robust insights into the hypothesis. In conclusion, this study anticipates some challenges. Firstly, limited generalizability beyond Islamic university students. Secondly, potential self-reporting or response biases. Thirdly, time constraints for survey data collection. Fourthly, ensuring a high response rate and data quality. To mitigate or to minimize these, I will use careful sampling, validated instruments, and robust statistical techniques. Overall, this research has the potential to advance our understanding of fintech adoption among Gen Z. Thank you for your attention.